Today, I'm going to talk to you guys about our personal experiences international overland traveling with a truck camper versus a camper van. What's going on, guys? My name is Dan. Welcome to Freely Roaming. Today, we are on the island of Hvar in Croatia. We're taking a little walk down to the beach. It's the little cove in the village that we're staying at for the last couple of months. If you guys know about our background, this is the village that Marlene's dad grew up in. So we have a little stone house here that we like to spend our time at when we're in Croatia. And when we're in the city of Split, they have an apartment that we can also use. But if we have a choice, this is the place we prefer to be. Over the last 12 years, we've traveled in a lot of different vehicles, but the two that we get asked about a lot are the last two that we've had. One being the F-250 Ford Super Duty pickup truck with a four-wheel pop-up camper in the back, and the other one being our current vehicle, which is a 4x4 Mercedes Sprinter van. And as you know, we're a family of 5 traveling full-time. Finding a vehicle that fits all 5 of us comfortably has been probably the trickiest thing that we've had to overcome. And these two vehicles have fit the bill pretty well. Now, if you're just a single person or a couple, or maybe a couple with just one kid, either of these vehicles will give you plenty of space. But the reason why we chose the four-wheel camper and the Sprinter van for our last two vehicles is because the layout suited us perfectly. Now, the Sprinter van specifically, we had a custom make to be able to have sleeping space for 5, whereas the four-wheel camper was a ready-made model. We chose the long bed Granby model with a front dinette with a huge king-size bed on top and a full-size bed that converts from the dinette down on the bottom. I think the question most people are interested in is, how do these two vehicles compare? And why do we switch from our four-wheel camper on a pickup truck to our current Sprinter van? So I'm going to try to tell you guys that in this video. When we decided to buy the Ford F-250 with a four-wheel camper in the back, the purpose for that was to go down to mainland Mexico and travel for 6 months to a year in Mexico and perhaps Central America. One of the things we knew was that F-250s were popular vehicles down there, but specifically the F-250 gasoline engine was very, very popular. Because at the time, Mexico did not have ultra-low sulfur diesel throughout the entire country. It is starting to happen, but it's not everywhere yet. So switching to a gasoline vehicle was important for us so we can make sure that we can always get proper fuel. For the most part, the F-250 was a great vehicle. It didn't get the best gas mileage. The turning radius wasn't that great, but it had a great four-wheel drive system. It is heavy-duty, robust, and it got us out of a lot of trouble in a lot of situations. The gasoline engine was the reason why we got that truck. Being a 2016 model, the diesel alternative requires DEF as well as ultra-low sulfur because it uses a DPF system in the exhaust as well. If you didn't know, you have to use ultra-low sulfur diesel in a vehicle that has these exhaust systems. It is possible to run just regular low sulfur diesel, but you will drastically shorten the life of your exhaust. And that leads to costly repairs. So the gas engine was important for us to be down there. I would say the gasoline engine was also its Achilles heel. It's a little bit underpowered for a vehicle of that size. Our vehicle was an F-250, so it was a 3/4 ton truck, but it was a crew cab, long bed, four-wheel drive, which meant that it is probably the biggest and heaviest version of the F-250. Even though the numbers are pretty impressive for the V8 engine, but compared to its diesel alternative, it didn't have nearly as much power, and it uses a lot of gas. I think on the average, we probably got anywhere from 10 to 12 miles per gallon, which isn't great. But being in North America, even though Mexico is a little bit more than the United States, fuel is relatively inexpensive. And we don't really drive more than a regular commuter who goes to work every day. On the average, we go about 12 to 15,000 miles a year. However, when we decided to come to Europe, that is when we had to really rethink whether or not the F-250 with the four-wheel camper was the right setup for us. Besides the fuel economy being not so great, there were a couple of other reasons why we didn't want to bring that F-250 here in Europe. One of them was that it's actually about 6 inches wider than our current vehicle, the Sprinter 4x4. Even though you don't think 6 inches is that significant, we're talking 3 inches on either side. Those 6 inches have actually been a deal breaker for a lot of the places that we've been to here in Europe. Even here in this village, we had to fit our van through this narrow gap between two stone buildings that we probably had only about 1.5 inches to spare on each side. And because in all of Europe, Morocco, and Turkey, which are the countries that we've been, ultra low sulfur is a standard here, so we don't have any issues finding clean diesel fuel for our Sprinter van. And as far as fuel economy goes, the Sprinter van gets anywhere between 15 to 18 miles to the gallon, and diesel being cheaper than gas, we're actually saving even more money as far as fuel is concerned. Now, the Sprinter van's four-wheel drive system may not be as robust as the F250 Super Duty's four-wheel drive. It is actually considered a commercial grade system. There's a couple different four-wheel drive systems in Sprinter vans, so depending on which one you have, you may have the one that's not for commercial use. The way to know is whether you have low range or not. We do have the version with low range, so it is a robust commercial system. Most of the time when you're in a truck camper, in order for you to get into your living space, you have to exit the vehicle and go around to the side or the back. And that was something that we wanted to avoid because it got a little bit cumbersome when you're living in your vehicle full time. And the other thing too is when you leave your truck cab and go into your living space in the back, the cab of the truck isn't useful anymore. The only thing you can use for at that point is for storage. So we were thinking, for such a large vehicle to be driving around all the time, we want to make sure we're using our spaces as efficiently as possible. So switching to a Sprinter van gives us that. So now we have the cab of our van that we can use as actually living space, even when we're not driving. There's also been several places that we've been in our truck camper. The one that comes to mind is in northern Newfoundland. In about late fall, we got some really strong winds. So strong to the point that we didn't feel like the soft sides of the pop-up was going to be able to handle it. So we actually had to find a tall enough building to hide behind so we can pop up the top of the truck camper so that we can all sleep in it. If it were just the two of us without the kids, we could have slept down below without popping the top up. But since there are 5 of us, not having the top go up was not an option. So after a couple of experiences like that, we realized our next vehicle, we didn't want to have to deal with soft sides. And of course, the downside of having hard sides in our Sprinter van is that it's going to be much higher the entire time that you're driving. And because of the high center of gravity, you also have to take your turns a little bit more slowly. And lastly, the reason why we switch from our F250 pop-up truck camper to a Sprinter van is just based on the places that we're going. Because we knew we're going to be in Europe for several years, switching to a vehicle that's commonly available in the region made it easier for us to maintain it. We have seen some F250s here in Europe, specifically one that we saw in Norway and maybe one other one in Turkey. But besides that, you rarely see 4 Super Duty trucks here. You do see more Ram trucks because Ram is now owned by a European company, so they do sell them here at the Fiat dealerships. But with Sprinter being so common here, it's easy to get parts. We've had to do our A service one time already. We're able to do that very cheaply and easily in Romania. And our service B is coming up soon. I'm sure we'll be able to find any Mercedes mechanic around here, and they'll be able to service that very easily. So those are the main reasons why we switch from a four-wheel camper on an F250 platform to a Sprinter van. Some of the other things you may consider too is just depending on how you set it up and where you buy it, there could be a significant price difference. Our vehicles were priced fairly similarly. Our truck was brand new at the dealership for about $38,000, and our truck camper we purchased also directly from Four Wheel Camper, completely built out, ready to go, for about $25,000. So that came out to just over $60,000. And our van we found at a dealership as well for $60,000. And over the period of about a couple months, we put about $5,000 to $10,000 into building it out. And of course, building your own overland vehicle is a job that will never be finished. We're still doing little tweaks here and there, adding things, deleting things, but we're really happy with the switch. And we've been in Europe almost 2 years now, and it's been the perfect vehicle for us. We have awning, solar shower, solar panels on the roof of the Sprinter van. And with 7 gallons of water in the solar shower, it will be way too heavy for our 4-wheel camper's pop-up to be able to handle it. So being able to have roof space to store extra things has been really critical for us as well. So that's basically it. Those are the reasons why we switched from a 4-wheel camper on a Ford platform to a Sprinter van. I hope this has been helpful to you. And if you have any questions about your vehicle choice, feel free to drop us a message below and we'll try to respond to them as quickly as we can. Thank you guys always for watching. A special thanks to our patrons for supporting us. And if you're interested in becoming a patron, our Patreon link is below. We have links to our special behind the scenes videos and extra content exclusively for patrons. And if you like this video, I appreciate if you give us a thumbs up below. And if you'd like to see more videos like this, go and hit that subscribe button. Thank you guys so much as always. I'll see you guys in the next one.